Hello house lovers, welcome to Bon Accord once again. It is a glorious morning in Melbourne, and just a quick segue to the facade. I had to do another little bit of stripping here, another layer, which I think was the fourth or even the fifth layer of stripper. This surface took some stripping, kids. Anyway, to get back to the original surface, we just had to clarify for council exactly what the outside colour was going to look like. So I applied another layer, and look, we did get down to the most beautiful dark grey granite colour. So this bit here, which was that sort of reddy colour, was in fact just another layer of pigment. And look, that is the original colour of the facade, and that is what we are going to aim for. Very exciting. And in other horticultural news, the pea mulch peas are flowering. Could we get a pea crop? Wouldn't that be hilarious? But let's go inside and answer an important question. House lovers, we have a very serious question to address. So let us ascend to the upper level and just have a look at the thorny question itself. To build in or not to build in? That is the question, house lovers. Bon Accord House has a history of built-ins. 19th century house, 1874, and this was an original bedroom cupboard with its beautiful shield doors. I'm about to strip these with a heat gun to get a sense of exactly what the timber is, so I'll keep you up to date with that. But let's go back to FAR-Q, where I have been pondering some built-in questions in relation to our plans, and I have a little news. Welcome to FAR-Q, house lovers, and today we are going to ponder the big questions, which are: do you have built-ins or do you not? How many built-ins do you need? What is the moral and philosophical position of built-ins? Let's find out. But first, the tiniest of asides, because house lovers, we have not the most, but the latest most important piece of news to date, which is, ta-da, council has signed off on our plans. We don't have approval yet because council has signed off on the plans, but they now have to go to the 4 objectors. Yes, I know, 4 objectors. I'm thinking positive and charming thoughts about those 4. One is legit, and we have had open dialogue with them before to resolve the problem, so we knew that this was going to be the process. Very exciting. Let's go back to the built-in question. And house lovers, although I may have been slightly joking about the moral and philosophical questions involved in built-ins, I do believe there is a point here, because it's a little like the Emir of Dubai who said, "Build it and they will come," about all those crazy towers in Dubai. He was right. He built it and they came. The same statement could apply to built-ins. Build them and thou shalt fill them. Or in our case, the good doctor will fill them. As we saw last week, I'm at that point of marking out on the plans where major things are going to go, which also will mean built-ins. Now let's leave aside the kitchen for a second. Although you don't have to fully build out a kitchen, I believe. Freestanding furniture can look sensational in a kitchen. But anyway, here's my view of built-ins. Firstly, it's expensive, even if, like this, they are pretty lowest common denominator MDF built-ins of any description. It's really expensive. Any joinery is expensive. The better the surface and the finishing, the more expensive it gets. Second point is, you can't take it with you, a lot like earthly wealth. So you can spend all this money on built-ins, and if it's not your forever house, whoever moves in next will immediately rip it out. What a waste of money and resources. So the million-dollar question is, where is the middle line? What is the compromise? I think you have to be creative and realistic. The more storage you have, the more you're going to fill it. That's the first point. I'm kind of a no hoarder, if you don't need it, someone else does kind of guy. So I kind of think if you've got things in cupboards for a decade, maybe you should see a therapist. We've established if you build a built-in, it will be very quickly full. Second point is, no matter how cheap it is, it will be expensive. Third point is that freestanding furniture can often do the same job better and cheaper. Doesn't have to be old or antique or vintage. You could get a new but well-made piece of furniture that you will be able to take with you, that will last, that isn't going to be landfill. So that is something to think about. However, there is a place for built-ins, and wardrobes being one of them, but also strange, odd nooks and corners of buildings if you have an irregular older building. Now back in Bonaccord, as you saw, there are those niches either side of the mantelpieces. Now they are perfect positions for built-ins because they're quite narrow, they're not that deep, and originally they did have built-ins. So that's the kind of space you'd be looking at, where a piece of freestanding furniture isn't going to maximize the space as much. But I think it's important to remember you don't have to be literal. A chest of drawers doesn't have to go in a bedroom. It can go in a dining room, in a living room, in a study, anywhere. You can have anything anywhere because there are no rules. Our Farq Palace did though have this fantastic walk-in wardrobe, which when I came to view the property as a rental sold it on me because, truth be told, both the good doctor and myself might have one or two clothes. Which brings me to the obvious point that walk-in wardrobes or closets such as that are an ideal spot for built-ins, but you can still make it interesting by having freestanding furniture and not building out the whole space. What we're doing with our plans is just trying to be as measured as possible about where we put built-ins and what purpose they're actually serving, and could a piece of furniture do the same job better, cheaper? This is going to be our forever house, so we are going to commit to really great joinery, using though great timbers and perhaps, hopefully, some of that old eucalypt hardwood that I've taken out of the house, which is wonderfully seasoned and has a rich, mellow colour. There we are, house lovers, Matty's Guide to Built-ins 101. First thing is, it's expensive, no matter how cheap it is. Second point is, you can't take it with you. So if it is your not forever house, it's a big investment for something that you can't pack up and move to your next house. The third thing is it the most practical solution for what you want? Fourth thing is, it is sometimes cheaper and more attractive to use freestanding furniture, which you can also take with you, but will give your room or your space a bit more character and interest. So much to ponder. I do have a little bit of convincing to do because the good doctor is very passionate / committed to built-ins. But what is marriage if it is not compromise? There we are, house lovers. The built-in jewelry is hung. Well hung. Do you or don't you? Yes, you do, just a little bit. Whatever suits your needs. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing and asking a question should you so desire, because of course I know nothing, I'm a rank amateur. But what exciting news, we have got through the next step, hopefully towards appointing our builder, which is very exciting. Take care wherever you are. Things are still COVID-esque here in Melbourne, but we're doing our best, although I am getting a little bit stir crazy just saying. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week with another update and adventure.